Hi friends, it's Britt from Tiny House Life with Britt on Instagram. Uh, I am not a video person, so this is really weird. Sorry if you can hear my cats eating in the background, it is tea time for them. So today I just wanted to answer a bunch of your questions and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Subscribe. Okay, the first question is, does it ever feel too tiny? And honestly, for me, no, it doesn't. I love the small space. I came from a really large house, so having the small space, less things, less time to clean everything, it's amazing for me. So no, the answer is no. Does it get lonely? For me, no. I'm quite an introverted person, so I do like my own space and I do like to hang out with my animals and, just kind of spend time by myself. So for me, no, it doesn't. I'm only about 5 minutes away from civilization, so I'm not actually that rural, but yeah, I love it. Do I plan to stay tiny forever? As of right now, I don't have any plans to buy a house or move into something bigger. This works perfectly for me at the moment, and depending on what happens later on in life, I would love to buy some land of my own and maybe build something there, but it will be with the same kind of tiny house concept because I love it. What kind of toilet do I have? I get this question all the time. I don't have a composting toilet. That was a deal breaker for me when I was building this house. So I decided to do some research into different options that they had. They had incinerating toilets. They had like separates where things get separated and dehydrated, and I just didn't want to have to deal with that. I just wanted a flushing toilet. So the best that I could come up with was a Saniflo toilet. The one that I have is called Sani Compact 45, I think it is, and it's basically a flushing toilet, but it has a macerator in it. So basically it has blades that like chop everything up. It goes into muddy liquid and then a company come and empty the tank for you. So yeah. How did I get my land sorted? Well, I posted on a community page in the area that I wanted to live in, and I had so many different offers. I was so surprised. That was the one thing that I was super worried about when I was going tiny, was like, will I find somewhere to park it? And luckily I did. I think I looked at about 6 different places and then chose the one that suited me the best. It was in the exact area that I wanted to live in, and the family were so lovely. So when I moved here, it was just empty land, and then over the last year and a half, they've built their family home here and they live here now. So that's super cool. Power and water. So we are currently running off 4 30,000 litre water tanks. So that's my house and their house, and we are running off solar, so completely off the grid, which is really fun. Heating and cooling. So I have a heat pump. It's a Toshiba and it does the heating and cooling. I also have 2 Dyson heat and cool fans. I have one in my bedroom just in case I get like a little cold or too hot in the night, so I don't have to turn on the heat pump. And then I also have one in my upstairs lounge just to, have a little bit of warmth if I need it. How do I find cooking and prepping a meal in my tiny house? Well, I'm not a chef, let me tell you, but for me it's totally fine. I have plenty of space. I also have a Barlina that is in my kitchen, so if I needed additional space I could use that. I don't, but I could if I needed to. I probably cook like once a week, maybe twice, but I work nights, so I don't normally get a chance to do that, so I just make really quick food just to get me through. Okay, so my cabin, which you can see in the background, is not made by Shay's Tiny Homes. We have this site called Trade Me in New Zealand, and I was just scrolling through there looking for an office pod for all my officey things and my music stuff, and I came across this cabin and it just fit with the exact same vibe that my house had. So it has the cedar on the front and then it has like the black iron on it. So yeah, I got that from Trade Me, so it was secondhand at the time. Is my house attached to the trailer? Yes and no. So my house has container locks on the underside of it which lock onto the trailer. So currently, yes, it is locked onto the trailer, but you can easily remove it if you undo those locks. How did I get finance? So this one was a difficult one. So when I was building my tiny house, I owned my own home as well. And so I approached the bank about taking some of the equity out of my house because I had quite a bit in it, and they did all the numbers and they said yes, but they didn't like the contracts that I had with my two employers at the time. So basically they told me I needed to go back to my employers and get new contracts for both of my jobs that I had, and it was just going to be a little bit too hard basket. So in the end, my mum helped me with the rest of the money that I needed to build my tiny house, and then just recently I sold my conventional house and I've paid her back. So now I fully own this house outright, which is such a cool feeling. I know that there are different companies. I think Squirrel Money is one of the companies that will finance on a property like this, so definitely just do your research. Insurance. Okay, so this is a difficult topic, I guess, for some people. Now, I found it really easy to get insurance. I'm in a rural property, so I went for rural insurance. I'm with FMG. It is very expensive, but it's worth it because already we've had a few massive storms, and in the first one, all of my outdoor furniture got absolutely demolished. So they covered that, which was awesome. So yeah, you definitely need insurance, but look around because I've heard that there are other companies that are a lot cheaper than FMG, but for me it was just easiest, and yeah, I'm happy with them. How did I pick the tiny house company that I went with? So I went with Shay's Tiny Homes, and the way I came across her was I actually found this really cool tiny house on Trade Me, and so looking into who built that house and the awesome design that it had. It was the Claire design, if you're familiar with Shay's Tiny Homes. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. I thought it was the most livable tiny house I'd ever seen. I'd watched all the tiny house shows and followed Living Big in a Tiny Home, and I'd seen everything, right? And these designs were the first ones that I actually thought, holy, it actually seems like a real house and it seems very livable. So I did some research on Shay's Tiny Homes, looked at their website, looked at the different designs that they had, and I just instantly fell in love. So I messaged back and forth with Shay for a little bit, kind of not sure whether I wanted to commit to getting a tiny home because where was I going to put it? And after meeting with her in her factory, I looked at a bunch of the houses. She actually took me to view her home, which was amazing, and that was what sold me, was just walking around in her house thinking, wow, this is so livable, and it was just exactly what I was looking for. I was living in a huge 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, and it was just daunting having to clean it all, having to work 2 jobs to be able to pay the mortgage to live there. Like it wasn't the life that I wanted. So yeah, that was what sold me, was meeting Shay and seeing her house, and then we worked together to make my design work for me. Okay, so some design questions that you guys had. Why did I not choose the boat shape on the front? And so that was the first thing that I changed from the hazel design that I went with. I changed it to be like the straight front, and that was just purely because I like straight lines, and I didn't personally like the look of it being boat shaped, and I just thought it was a little bit of a waste of space when you could have like the full rectangle instead of just that boat front. So yeah, it was just preference really. Do you have to watch your head on your way up the stairs? Now, no. So there is a heat pump that is above the staircase, but it's way above your head, and when you get up to the top landing, like you can fully stand up all the way upstairs. How did I design my second loft? So I wanted my second loft to be basically just like another bedroom, and so I dropped the floor in there, which was the first time that Shay had actually done that in a design. So normally in her hazel design you would step up into that room, and it was just not as usable as I wanted it to be. It was going to be a spare room for when my mum came to stay, and I was going to use it also as a lounge because I wasn't having a TV downstairs. I was going to have it upstairs, so it needed to be really usable. I wanted to be able to walk in there without having to like duck down. I wanted my mum to be able to get changed in her bedroom without having to, you know, be lying on the floor. So that was how I designed my second loft. What type of cladding do I have on the outside of my house? So I have cedar wood, and then I also have color steel, which is in the color iron sand. Yeah, iron sand. So it's like a off black kind of dark browny color. So yeah. Storage under the bay window. Yes, there is storage under the bay window. No, it is not user friendly. So when I did that change in the design, I wanted to have doors on the front of the house to access it. I was going to use it kind of as like my garage shed type place. Unfortunately, they told me as we were starting that it wasn't going to be possible, although I have seen that they've built it recently, so they must have figured out how to engineer it. But yes, so yes, there's storage. I actually just pulled all of the shelves out of that cupboard recently, and I've tried to reconfigure it so that I can fit more stuff into the storage area, like suitcases, Christmas decorations, just things that you don't need to access all the time but you need to still have. So yeah, I'm making it work. How big is my tiny house? So it is 9 meters long by 2.8 meters wide by 4.2 meters high, and so that, as far as I'm aware, is the absolute max road specs. Well, definitely height and width, it's the maximum road specs that you can have. So yeah, so those are all the questions, the frequently asked questions that I had from you guys. If you have any more questions, drop them down below, or you can send me a message on Instagram. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again next time.